Hello, everyone. This is Tiffany Casberry with Unchained Life. And oddly, I have been watching I started the second season of Coach Prime. And yes, I actually enjoy that, mainly because it's not allowing the craziness in society to take over, in the sense that they push you really hard. Well, he definitely pushes all of his team really hard. And there's I won't say there's not any. I'm trying to think of the best way. Maybe I'm trying to think of the nicest way to say it. Okay, there's no whiny babies. And if there are, they will be gone soon. So but I enjoy it, because not because I want to see people pushed and hurt, or because I want to see people screamed at, or whatever images some people have in their head. What I enjoy is people being pushed beyond their beliefs, pushed beyond their boundaries that they've set for them, and flourish, being able to see what they're actually capable of doing. So he was going into a morning meeting with the team, and he said something that actually got my attention, and I was like, you know what, I need to go ahead and do a podcast on this needs to be a new episode, because and it's not about football. What he said is, what are you striving for? And he used the fact that in this particular season's or in this particular episode's most recent surgery that he had to have on his foot, because he's had a lot of blood clot issues, and he's actually had some toes that were amputated. So he was going in and having to have another surgery, and they pulled two pins out of the two toes that they were going in to try to save. And the pins are approximately 4 inches long. And the physical trainer for the team had mentioned, when she thought of how long those steel rods were gonna be when they were pulling him out of his toe, which was uncomfortable to watch, just because I could only feel like it had to be painful. But she expected it to be like the size of a toe or so. So we're talking, maybe an inch, two max. And it just kept coming and it kept coming, because it went all the way into the foot. Like it went through the toe from the top, not like side to side, but from the top to the bottom into the actual foot. Oh, anyway. So he pulls those out, and he was talking to his team. He kept those two rods because he specifically wanted to use them to get his point across. And he said that he's striving for normalcy after everything that he's dealing with, and he's just striving for normalcy. He goes, what are you striving for? What do you want? And my train of thought is probably different than what most people's would be in, being asked that question. Mine went to, first it was happiness, and then it was, what does that mean though? Happiness. It's different for everybody, right? And I think part of the issue is understanding that we don't always get what we think is going to make us happy. And I don't just mean like in a person, like, oh, I really thought I was going to spend my life with this person, this was my happiness, blah blah blah. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the dream maybe that you had growing up. And so this was where my mind went. I remember being a young girl in church. I was maybe a teenager, I don't remember exactly, but I remember it was around that time that I had first heard, I believe it was a sermon actually, or it could have been in Sunday school. I'm not really sure which way, but they were talking about how Paul states not everyone is meant to be married. And I remember thinking, well, that's sad. Won't be me. Because I think that when you're younger, you're in your little protective cocoons, if you will. Well, and I say that that's not for everybody. Everybody's life is different. The struggles and trials that you deal with as a child very much differ. But let's say in an ideal world that you grow up in safety and in this protective cocoon that I was talking about, and you have parents that try very hard not to shelter you per se, but to, manage your heartbreak and your suffering and pain and stuff like that, right? Because no parent wants, their child to be in pain and to experience a lot of pain. I think one of the things that parents try to do, and I'm not a parent. I was pregnant once and I miscarried. But I think that you ideally want to protect your child, whom is supposed to be a love like no other, from everything that you possibly can. And in that idea, you think, okay, well, life's been pretty good so far, so I'm probably going to get most of everything I want, because, that's just your crazy ignorant thinking as as a young child, because you don't know any better. You don't realize that the thing that you're striving for, you can't wait. Oh, I can't wait to be out of my parents' house. I can't wait to be out of school so nobody can tell me what to do. And that's such a myth. And the ignorant bliss of thinking that being an adult is everything and more. And the reality is life is hard, and it comes in all different shapes and patterns and waves and beliefs. And it could look different for a lot of different people. And the happiness that I was talking about earlier, that could be different for a lot of different people. Whatever I describe as my happiness doesn't necessarily mean that it's your happiness. Definitely doesn't mean that it's my best friend's happiness. It could be nobody I know's happiness, or it could be everybody I know's happiness. It just depends on what your happiness means. What does happiness mean to you? And to go back to this sermon that I remember hearing, or I remember hearing it and thinking, well, that's sad. That's not going to be me. I'm going to have, I'm going to get married. I'm going to marry my best friend, and we're going to have a boy and a girl, and we're going to have this awesome life. And none of that happened for me. So I say half-heartedly with a laugh, that was what I thought my happiness was going to be. Not because I was led to believe that that was what I was supposed to do, that I was supposed to grow up and I was supposed to get married and I was supposed to have a family. It's genuinely what I wanted, which is funny because I've also always said that I never wanted children. So it's really hard to go back and forth on that. But just, a side note on that, the reason that I didn't want children was because of all the abuse that I'd been through. And I didn't think that I would be a good parent. It scared me to deal with a child that I didn't really get to experience that for myself. So, because my innocence and safety was stolen from me from such a young age. And so I went back and forth, telling people that I never wanted to have kids. And then, when I would think about what would make me happy and what I wanted, it was the dream of marrying my best friend and, having his children, and that never happened for me. So let me back up. When I say that never happened for me, it didn't happen for me the way that I'd pictured it. I never had children, and I have been married. It obviously did not work out. I'm not married anymore. And I've been single for almost 14 years by choice, 95%. There's a sliver of hope. But this is me at 44. Will be in just over a week. I will be actually a week tomorrow. I will be 45, and I'm not married. I'm not dating. I don't have children. At this point, I always tell people, and I know people have had children at my age and older, but I always say at my age, I've grown out of that. Not like as it's a young person's thing. Well, that's not the right way to say it. Grown out as in not like it's like playing with Barbies. Grown out as in I understand what it means to be a parent, and in the sense of the responsibility and what is sacrificed. And it's not that I'm not willing to do that. What I'm not willing to do is give up sleep because I get enough of that as it is. So say whatever you want. I am not willing to forgo my sleep at this age of my life. So, but I do believe that for me, in my opinion, this is not for anybody else. This is just for me. I'm too old to start having children at this age. I feel like if I was meant to do that God would have allowed me to carry to term the baby that I miscarried, or I would have gotten pregnant earlier or after that, but it didn't happen. And this is where we are, right? So I got on here to say, as I'm already 12 and a half minutes into this, that sometimes we have to adjust what we believe happiness is. And I don't think this is the same as, you have a dream, make it happen. Because say my happiness was marrying my best friend and having children. That's not a make it happen kind of thing. It's timing and all kinds of different things. Because I don't think you can force who your best friend is. I don't think that you can make that happen with some random person that you just walk up to and go, hey, I'm going to make you fit into my picture of happiness. You are now going to be my best friend, and then you're going to marry me, and then we're going to have children. We're not in caveman times to where I get to walk up and club somebody on the head and say, you are mine. It's not how life works nowadays. Hopefully nowhere. And so that's why I say sometimes we have to adjust what we believe our happiness is. Please understand, I may not have my best friend, significant other. I may not have the children with said best friend, significant other, but I'm happy. I'm not living that particular happiness, if you will, but I'm blessed and I'm thankful and I'm grateful for what I do have. And sometimes, we can get lost in not being able to have exactly what we pictured. And then we can get so focused on what we don't have that we fail to realize the blessings that we do. And I think that can be unfortunate because, kind of like what I said in my last episode, it's really hard to be depressed or angry if we are aware and cognizant of our blessings. These are the things that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful that I have a roof over my head. I'm grateful for my job. I'm grateful for the food in my belly. I'm grateful for the ability to get a paycheck to pay my bills. You know, I'm grateful for my, my Jeep. Love my Jeep. I'm a Jeeper. Love it. Anyway, I'm grateful for my dogs. I'm grateful for the people that truly love me for me and not the people that just want to pretend to be my friend because they are nosy or whatever other ill will reason they may have. I am so very grateful for my faith and my salvation. And I have to stay focused on those things. Not like I have to stay focused because I can't be depressed, but I have to stay focused on those things so that I don't allow myself to get into a rut, because I could easily turn it around and be like, I'm so sad and so lonely and I miss my dad so much. He's been gone for almost 14 years. And I, have been single for almost 14 years. And I've been single for 14 years, almost 14 years. And it all happened all together. Anyways, and, I could focus on the trauma that's happened in my life. I could focus on, I'm not doing my dream job. I'm doing X, Y, and Z. Or I live in a state that I never thought I'd live in. And I really wish that I was at home in Texas with my closest friends and family. There's tons of things that I can focus on if I want to be upset. And then there's, a sadness and a depression. And why? Like, it doesn't serve any purpose to focus on those things. And if you can think of a purpose that it does serve that's beneficial, by all means, please reach out to me, leave a message, leave a comment, whatever. Let me know. Prove me wrong. I'd love to have that conversation. But I truly believe that it's more beneficial for us to focus on the things that we should be grateful for, the blessings that we do have, and maybe sit here and go, okay, so what I pictured my happiness as a 15-year-old was I was going to marry my best friend and we were going to have kids and we were going to just be as happy as can be and life was going to be perfect. Well, okay, first of all, life is never perfect for anyone. I don't care how close to perfect it may be. The other side of it is every relationship, every marriage has problems. Nothing is perfect, you guys. So you have to work really hard for the things that you want. You have to work really hard for that picture of happiness, if you will. And if you don't have what you thought you were going to have, like I don't have what I thought at 15 was going to be my happiness for the rest of my life. So I get to adjust that, right? So I get to sit here and say, okay, I don't have my best friend that is my significant other. Okay, well, I have me. And luckily enough, I've done a whole lot of work and I kind of like me. Haven't always felt that way, you guys. This is why I tell you all the time, I am not making straight A's and all the things that I am telling you, because, we all have stumbling blocks. None of us are perfect. And, we're not all likable every single day. Excuse me. And it's one of those things that we have to put work into. We have to make an honest effort to learn to like and love ourselves, right? So here's one of the other things that I think people fail to realize is if you don't like spending time with yourself, if you don't love yourself at all, why would anyone else? Like, truly think about that for a moment. You need to, in the aspect of discussion, as Okay, when discussing relationships specifically, okay, if I'm going out and I'm looking for somebody to date, then one of the things that we have to understand is we attract what we are and where we are. So if I don't really have a whole lot of love, respect, and care for myself, then I'm probably going to bring those kind of people into my life. And I can't expect those people to necessarily appreciate me or to respect me appropriately if I don't respect myself. I can't mandate or, demand that you respect me if I clearly do not respect myself. And maybe that means, drinking and driving because I don't care about my life. So why would I care if I did that? On the selfish side of it, not only including the fact that if you drink and drive, that you're also putting every other life that you drive by in jeopardy. But if you are somebody that, and I'm not saying like you need to have this crazy ego thinking that you are just the best thing since sliced bread and that everybody should bow down and kiss your feet. And okay, first of all, my response is bite me. And second, it's get a grip. Okay, because none of us are that spectacular. Okay. And if that's the world you live in, I'm not the person you should be listening to because I'm never going to inflate your ego for you. I will gladly deflate it though. Everybody should have a healthy respect and care for themselves. Because again, if you don't love and care for yourself, you cannot expect anyone else to. I can't if I'm, abusing my body and talking negatively and, all this self-loathing and degradate what is the word I'm looking for? Deprivation. There we go. Sorry, it's late. I'm ready to go to bed. If that's what we're doing, then why would anybody else be loving? Why would they just be kind and respectful? You clearly don't. So why? So please keep that in mind that if you feel a very negative way towards yourself, people can feel that. You can feel somebody else's energy. You can see how they feel about themselves, how they treat themselves, if they care about themselves at all, by how they act. So if you want someone that loves you and respects you and will treat you right, you have to start with yourself. You have to. Have to. I don't know how else to say it. You have to. It's mandatory. Okay. And then you can go out and attract the right kind of person that is going to benefit your life, that is going to be an enhancement. I always say that, when you start dating someone else, you should enhance their life and they should enhance your life. You guys should mutually match and also lift each other up. I firmly believe that if I ever end up with somebody, that we are going to, I feel like feed off each other is not the appropriate term, but almost feed off each other, because we're going to have so much mutual love and respect that all we want is for each other to be the best that we can possibly be for each other. I hope that made sense. When people talk about, you make me want to be a better person, the reason that somebody wants to be a better person is because of what they see in the other person. Does that make sense? So, for example, if I see my counterpart is constantly doing work to make themselves better and being very aware of their actions, what they're reading, what they are engaging in, then I have that same desire. It tends to be contagious, if you will. And I think that that is huge in relationships. I think that, if one person's always like, sucking the life out of you and dragging you down, then that's not a person that you need in your life. It's just not beneficial. It's not it's not going to help you be the best version that you can possibly be for you or anyone else. So, I truly believe that we need to look for people that are going to make our lives better. And I don't mean that in a greedy sense. I don't mean like, hey, I'm going to go find some rich billionaire because they can pay for everything and I can just sit my butt at home and not have to do anything. Not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about two people that can equally participate in a relationship and provide the same amount of effort to each other. I think that's fair. And even though I don't have that person, does not mean that I am not having my happiness, if you will. Because I want to go back to that and remind you guys that each stage of life, your happiness can look different, right? So when I was 18, my happiness was joining the military and getting the heck out of my small town. And then when I was in my 20s, it was going to college and doing the best that I possibly could. I didn't try very well in high school. I was smart and I got A's and B's, but I didn't put forth the effort like somebody that would have been a valedictorian. I was one of those people that felt like, well, I don't really have to try and I'm still doing this good. Why try? But I also, and I'm not saying, oh, my parents were horrible, but I also didn't have two parents that, wanted to go to college and, wanted to be the best that they could possibly be and excel in everything. And so I wasn't raised trying to excel or prepare my life for college at a younger age, or I wouldn't have even known. I don't even think, unless I heard my friends talking about it at school, I don't even think I would have realized that to get into, say Ivy League schools or, really special schools that people want to go to, prestigious places, that you have to have, a certain GPA or take certain classes or have certain volunteer work. I would have never known any of that stuff. None of it. Not a clue. Unless I heard somebody in high school talking about it. It wasn't something, it was never discussed in my house. It's just not something that I was taught growing up. It was, just your upbringing has a lot to do with that, right? My parents didn't go to college, and so their knowledge probably was minimal. And so my thought was, my dad went to the Air Force. He was in Vietnam. I love my dad to no end, and I want to make him proud. I don't want him to have to pay for college because it's expensive, and he's paid for everything throughout my life for the first 18 years. I felt like, out of, respect for my father, that I would figure out a way to pay for college. Well, what was the best way for me to pay for college? Go to the military. And that's what I did. So I joined the Air Force, and then I got out and I went to college and I got a scholarship and went back into the military. But happiness looks different for everybody at different stages. And for me, it was leaving my little bitty country town and going to the military and seeing the world and traveling and going to countries I never really wanted to go to. And so got to do that. And then it was go to college and, do the best that I possibly could. And I ended up doing well, and I had a really good GPA, not a great GPA, but I had a really good GPA. I think it was like I think I was at a 3.62, 3.65, and I graduated cum laude, and you know, that made me proud because it showed me that had I actually put forth effort in high school, that I probably would have done a lot better. But I knew that I could do it. I was just proving to myself what I was capable of. And then the next thing that, was on my list of I want to be happy was, you know what, maybe I should be married and having a family now. And so I got married, and that was not the right choice. And so then I got divorced and I went back into the Air Force, and which I was already going back into the Air Force. But happiness looks different at different stages, is my point, right? At the age of 18, your brain's not even fully formed. So you really have no idea what you are going to want in life, much less, who you're going to be, what you want to be, any of those things. And the person that I was then versus the person that I am now we are not the same people. I am so very thankful for all the work that I've done and where I am now, because it's much better off than where it was then. And I've grown and I'm matured and I'm much stronger now, and happiness is different. And I'm okay with that. So the moral of the story is today, folks, is it's okay to have a picture in your mind of what you think happiness is. But please understand there are other ways to be happy. There are other pictures that you can create of what happiness is, and it can be fluid. It's ever changing, if you will. Even if you got exactly what you wanted at 20, it's still going to grow and change and develop and mature throughout the years. That's life. That's how things happen. You have to put forth effort and work to be able to maintain whatever that is. And I just don't want people to get stuck on what they think their happiness should be. If I was still stuck on 15-year-old Tiffany's thought of what happiness would be, I'd be very, very depressed right now with my life. I would be so depressed, and I would be missing all the blessings that I have and the things that I'm thankful for, the things that I've done, the things that I've gotten to experience because I wasn't married and having a family. I was able to travel more and do, some different things. And so please understand that, happiness can be a lot of different things. Happiness isn't always good. Understand that, happiness for somebody could be an illegal activity. So, changing what happiness is also a good thing. And it was just something that, like I said at the beginning, when I was watching Coach Prime talk to the kids of, what do you want and what are you striving for? And then he said, I just want normalcy. And if you think of what he did in the NFL and, how his life has gone, I can 100% understand why he would say. And then on top of that, all the blood clots, all the surgeries, I can absolutely understand why his answer was, I'm striving for normalcy. I mean, yeah, I could see that 100%. So understand happiness changes for everybody. What are you looking for in life? That also changes, because once you get it, you have to start looking for something else, right? Otherwise, what? You're just gonna die? Well, I got what I want. Okay, we're good. Let's call it quits. No, it doesn't work that way. You got to find a new goal, right? Have a goal, reach it, got to find another goal. That's what life is all about. So go figure out what your next goal is, figure out what happiness may look like. And you know what? Maybe write down 3 different scenarios of what you see happiness as. Maybe that will help you to not just be so focused, like hyper focused on just one tunnel. there's different avenues. So find what is best for you. And hopefully that's exactly what you want and it all works out. Go be happy, be amazing, share your awesomeness with the world because you are spectacular and you are priceless. Be blessed. Have a great night.